Because socialization is fun. We are social creatures as humans. Professors have office hours for a purpose, and these are super important if you want to transfer, and they are I'm gonna sit cross-legged because this is my attempt to make things a little bit more casual, because every time I do one of these like let's have some advice heart-to-heart kind of videos, I try to dress casually and then I end up looking like this with a full face of makeup. So I'm working with what I have. Hi, hello. If you're new here, my name is Katie, otherwise known as the Vintage Academic, and I am a junior transfer student at UC Berkeley studying anthropology. I make fun vlogs and informational videos about community college, the transfer process, and what life is like as a transfer student. And today's video is a community college video. We are going to talk about some no BS advice for community college students. Just to clarify, this video is 100% inspired by Nicole Raffi. All credit for this idea goes to her, but I thought I'd put a community college spin on it because there are some things that are specific to community college students that I think you guys should know. So, as per usual, I have my handy dandy iPad and we are going to get started. Before we get into the different sections, the first thing that I want to tell you guys is to take this seriously. Treat your community college like it's your four-year university and you're spending a ridiculous amount of money on your tuition. Just because community college is called community college or junior college, and just because it doesn't cost as much as a four-year university, doesn't mean that it's not a serious accredited school that counts towards earning your degree. So my top advice to you for being successful in community college is to just start with that attitude. Take this seriously. Now that that's said, we're in that right mindset, you're going to take this seriously, you're going to actually put the work in. Let's move on to the main points of the video, and I'm going to break this up into sections, and the first section is majors. So especially when it comes to community college, don't go in expecting to know exactly what you want to do. Community colleges have a good deal of flexibility within their coursework, and if you're going to figure out what you want to do at community college, you should take advantage of the flexibility and the low cost, so that way if you suddenly switch majors to something completely different, you are not wasting a ton of money by having to take a bunch of new courses. It is totally okay to go in undecided and to explore different majors through taking different classes and figuring out what pathway is right for you while it's cheap to do so. In addition to this, find something that you love doing. Don't do something just because you think it'll make you a lot of money. While I say this, I do understand that it can be a little bit difficult to pursue something that you want to do if you come from a particular culture that has certain familial or societal standards or expectations. So when I say this, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but really pursuing education is about developing skills and perspective and knowledge in something that makes you happy, and something that stimulates your brain and excites you when you open your textbook. So now that I've talked about not expecting to know what you want to do when you go into community college, let's talk about the other side. If you're entering into community college with a solid idea of what you want to do, go in with a plan. The first thing that you should be doing if you know what you want to do is to meet with an advisor who can help you figure out what steps you have to take to get to where you want to go. So if you're planning on transferring, meet with a transfer advisor. If you're interested in exploring technical degrees or going to trade school, you should meet with somebody about that. Do your own research about what your major requirements are so that you can develop your schedule. Basically, if you have a goal, make a plan to meet that goal and then get busy working on it. Okay, next section is all about classes and coursework. Okay, so this might sound a little obvious, but this isn't high school. Believe it or not, this is actually college. I know it might say community college or junior college, but what you're doing is college classes. The coursework will be more challenging than your high school, and it's going to require reading, practice problems, more studying time, critical thinking, all of the above. So if you're coming in fresh from high school, be prepared for the amount of time that it's going to take. Look at your syllabus so you know what's required of you. Is it just a reading and a quiz, or are you going to have to do reading and an essay? What I'm getting at is what I already said. It's not high school, it's college. Another really important thing when it comes to classes is if your plan is to transfer, is to get your hands on a copy of the IGETC or the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum so that you know exactly what your general education requirements are, so you know which classes to take and you can plan out your schedule according to that. The IGETC and knowing what your transfer requirements are vital to shaping your schedule and figuring out what classes you're going to take and how long it's going to take you to get through community college. So make sure you get your hands on that IGETC. If you want to know more about the IGETC and the transfer requirements and all the things that you need to do to transfer, check out the video in the card up here because I've already made videos all about that. So if you need that kind of resource, it's there and it will also be in the description below. Next is planners and notes. This one's going to be quick. But I just have to say it is very important for you to get organized, stay organized, and to figure out your best method for taking notes. Whether that's typing them, handwriting them, Cornell method, figure out a method or multiple methods that work for you so that you can take effective notes. I also have another video that kind of goes over this. Sorry to plug myself so often, but if you want some advice on how to get good grades in community college, again, click the card or check the link in the description because I made another video all about that. The next one. Professors. I am a firm believer that being flexible is really useful when you're in college. Being able to adapt yourself to different teaching styles is going to be really useful because not all professors are made equally. But that being said, it is not a terrible idea to do some research on professors when you're picking out classes. If you are the kind of person that does require a particular teaching style, then maybe using something like Rate My Professor might be helpful just to understand what a professor's expectations are for a particular class and whether or not that professor will be a good fit for you. Take everything that is said on that website with a grain of salt, however, because it's not uncommon for people to just post a negative review when they're salty about getting a bad grade. So if you are using a website like that, be sure to check the grade that the person who's leaving the review got in that class, so that way you can kind of gauge their response. So I always go for looking kind of at the people who got A's and B's. Try to find genuine reviews of the professor and their class so you can gauge whether or not they'll be a good fit for you. Okay, next one is about wait lists. This is community college that we're talking about, and there are going to be a lot of students trying to get into the common lower division classes. I think the most impacted class at my community college was one of the lower division English classes that was the prerequisite to the transferable English class. So that's just to say that you will probably get waitlisted at some point in your community college career. It's happened to me. It'll probably even happen at the school you transfer to. But the most important thing to do is to stay on that waitlist and to go to class the first day. Even if it's on Zoom, still go to class. I guarantee you that somebody who signed up for the class won't show up, and the professor will give you a permission number for that spot so that you can enroll and be officially enrolled in that class. If you have to, you can even email your professor to show your interest, and you could probably convince them to give you a permission number. Okay, next one is books. Okay, for community college, don't buy your books before the class. Some professors have books listed on the website and in their syllabus, and then they don't even use them. So first, go to a week or two of class, try to figure out whether or not the professor is actually going to use the textbook, and then once you know, don't buy the textbook from the bookstore. There are dozens of cheaper ways to get textbooks. There's Amazon, there's Chegg, and I'm sure that there's a dozen more. One of the things that I do is I rent or I buy the book, and then I share them with my friends. That way we don't have to buy multiple copies of the same book. Okay, next section, activities/getting involved. So I am a huge believer that you only get out of community college what you put into it. If you want to, you can totally just show up for class, do your homework, and get out of there. But if you want to make friends, if you want to build a college experience for yourself, one of the best ways of doing that is to get involved. Put some effort into it because you only get out of it what you put in. So my first thing is to join a club. I know that right now people are not gathering because of the pandemic, but lots of clubs have moved to an online format. I know my anthropology club at my old community college is currently doing a book club, and they do virtual movie nights. It's a good way to make friends, and I promise you that if you do something to get involved, you'll be more invested in your campus and you'll get more out of the experience. Next thing is work and internships. So most community college students actually work through community college, and in my personal opinion, I think working through community college, getting internships, doing volunteer work is all really important stuff to do during community college because it shows that you're able to do hard work and that you're dedicated, and that will reflect really well on your transfer applications. The next little thing is to do some side projects. This just means do something for yourself. Whether that is finding a club or an activity that you enjoy doing, or spending some time embroidering, making YouTube videos, find something that's not school related that you enjoy doing so that way you have a form of relaxation. If that thing that you do outside of school is something like YouTube or some other community-based organization or something along those lines, then maybe you could even put it on your transfer application. The last point that I have for this section is, again, to make friends. And I say this because socialization is fun. We are social creatures as humans, but it's also a great way to get homework help. Maybe you could do some study groups, sharing textbooks, finding a way to connect with your fellow students. It's good not only for your grade, but also for your socialization. Okay, the last section I have is miscellaneous, so just random things that didn't fit into those other categories. The first one is to use office hours. Professors have office hours for a purpose. They're there to help you. Go to your professor's office hours, especially if you have questions, if you're looking to build connections and network. Professors honestly love having people come and ask them questions, or maybe they have some particular research research that you may have been interested in. Go to your office hours and make yourself known. I promise you it will be good in the long run. Like, for example, the professors that I consistently went to office hours for wrote me really good reference letters that ultimately ended with me getting a scholarship. My next tip is to use the resources that you need. And again, I talked about this in my Getting Good Grades video, but if you are somebody who needs to utilize disability services, or you need some basic needs covered, you need the food pantry, maybe you need technology or Wi-Fi, if there is something that you need, your community college probably has a resource for it, and you should most definitely take advantage of them, because how are you supposed to succeed in school if you're worried about where your food is going to come from, or you don't have internet connection, especially right now during a pandemic? Those resources are there for you to use, so please take advantage of them. Financial aid. Fill out your FAFSA. The free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA, is the place for students in America to get financial aid. The FAFSA is where you report all of your financial income so that the federal government can allocate money to you as a student, and that's also where your college gets all of your financial information, so if they're going to offer you financial aid, you need to fill out your FAFSA as well. In addition to financial aid, there are even some community colleges that have free tuition programs, so that's another way to get your community college education for cheap or for free. So look into the financial programs that your community college specifically offers. And the last two things I need to say, and these are super important if you want to transfer, and they are: take classes that satisfy requirements and pay attention to your transferable credits. The first one obviously is just to take the classes that satisfy the general education requirements, your major requirements, all the things that are required of you in order to transfer. The other one, paying attention to your transferable units. This is really important if, again, your goal is to transfer. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not quite sure where I was because my SD card filled up and interrupted me. How rude, right? I really need to buy a second SD card, but let's get back into it because we're almost done. Okay, so I was talking about transferable units. You need to pay attention to your transferable units, which courses are transferable, how many you have, because there are certain requirements that have to do with how many units you need to transfer and how many units you can transfer with. Be sure to utilize things like, again, the iGetsy or assist.org and the transfer application planner in order to keep track of which classes you need to take for your major, which classes are transferable for your major, and how many units they're worth. I especially recommend using the transfer application planner if you want to go to the UCs or you're planning on using the tag, because it tells you which courses are and are not transferable and which areas of the iGetsy it fulfills without you having to do anything besides input the course. So just make sure you're keeping track of all of that so that you can meet your transfer goals and make sure that everything transfers properly. Okay. I think that was all that I had. If you have any questions about transferring, what you have to do to transfer, and all of those kinds of things, please feel free to leave me a comment below. And I will also leave a series of videos in the description below that go over all of those kinds of things. I have a video on everything you need to know about transferring, how to get good grades in community college, how to get 100% admission guarantee using the tag, all of that kind of stuff and more will be in the description below. So don't forget to check that out. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!